Well, I guess we are live. Hello, folks. This is Joe saying hi to you.
Hi, hi everybody. Good morning.
And as you know, those who are seasoned with us, this is our 10th session, and we're still talking to each other. Isn't that amazing? That a little bit of structural organization for those who observe us, who enjoy us, hopefully, or critique us. Please share your comments. That is either through LinkedIn, through Facebook, or through YouTube. And of course, you have to be signed in through each of those to be able to comment. YouTube, it would be signing in through your Google account. And also feel free to share out your thoughts, your comments, and help me out here because I really am a confused left brain kind of guy, and this right brain ephemeral, I can't even say the word correctly, is all over the place in my world. So I'm still trying to catch up to her. Today we're talking about Let's Do the program. We're talking about create. This is again the way this works, folks. We don't rehearse this. I do ask Lizzy to provide me quotes because I don't know where to find them. And the quote she shared in this particular instance is "Creativity is intelligence having fun" by Albert Einstein. Now, what comes to mind to me is the thing of exercising. And I say I'm a biology major, so I kind of understand how the body works perhaps more than many people. But when I see commercials of people exercising and they're grinning, I don't know where that comes from. Now, I know intellectually it's supposed to be you release endorphins in your body and it oozes back in your skin and you feel good for the moment. It's just fantastic. I don't get none of that. And to me, it's just hard work. So when I hear this phrase about creativity is intelligence having fun, I don't care who says it. To me, it's just hard work. So I'm going to sit back and see how Lizzy tries to defend this comment.
Well, first, I just want to say one disclaimer. I'm not 100% sure that it was Albert Einstein. There's a lot of a lot of people who are claiming that
All
quote.
right.
However, I love it so much. It's one of my favorites
Mm-hmm.
because I think that with creativity, I mean, it is about having fun. It's about breaking the rules. It's about inventing. It's about trying new ways of being, right? It's about, about taking risks, right? And so all of that, to me, making mistakes and then falling down and getting back up. And that's about having fun. That's just like,
Whoa, whoa,
and you think of child.
excuse me. I got to interrupt. Falling down and making mistakes is fun. I feel embarrassed. I feel foolish. I feel criticized. How does that connect?
Well, think about a child. If when you were learning to, like, say, play baseball, or you've referred to riding a bike, if you don't get back up and try it again, that's the end. So the fun is getting up and trying again, and then becoming mastering it, and when once you hit that ball in the sweet spot, there's a memory, you remember it, and then you're able to do it again. That's where the fun comes in.
Folks, I think she's stretching this one, but okay, we're going to proceed on with the commentary. Again, I hear what you're saying about getting back on the bike because that is my example. But it wasn't like, hey, I just fell. Look at me. It was more my focus. I think creativity is hard work. In fact, I think being creative is harder work than getting things done because of the apparent randomness and the elusiveness of the moment. That's just kind of where I am on that. So
Well,
yeah, I'll get
that's
back.
where
Go
that's
ahead.
where I think that we as adults get stuck in these little boxes, and we
Okay.
don't end up using our this imagination that we have, and looking at things with the wonder of possibilities. We
Okay.
get we learn how to just play it safe,
Hmm.
and that's where intelligence can keep us stuck. That's why I love that creativity is intelligence plus fun,
Hmm.
because then it's like, ooh, let's experiment with this thing,
Yeah.
let's, right. And I mean, I think of it like, even with cooking, I think of it a lot because I'll know how to make a chicken dish, but if I like embrace my creativity, I'm like, let me try this with it and see how it turns out, and
Well,
just being open to just taking. I just think, again, it's about taking risks, and I think that it's something that we do a lot as kids, and we're not afraid to do as kids. But as we grow older, we start to worry too much about, again, what other people are thinking, and about again, maybe failing, which I think is
well,
false.
that
false.
That's my focus. Well, let me ask you this differently.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask earlier, is intelligence and creativity the same? Do you have to be intelligent to be creative? I'm going to ask this different. Why is it important? Why would it be important to even consider trying to be creative
Well,
in
I
one's
think
life?
that we are here to evolve and to innovate and to, to always get learning more and more and doing things a little better than maybe the previous generation. So
Hmm.
I think innovation is really, key for our kind of evolution, right?
Yeah. Well, but that's kind of cerebral for me, and then that's really kind of to my left brain syndrome. So I get the concept. I guess to me, it's kind of like getting unstuck. How many? Rephrase that. Let me say this. I'm going to ask you a question now, as opposed to a challenge. Your profession is about wellness and fulfillment,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to ask you a statistical question of sorts in a general manner. Do you feel the people who are fulfilled and feel successful are those are the ones who more fall into the creative zone versus the non-creative zone? If you get my question, am I asking that correctly?
I think that they're more open to seeing things, willingness to be open to seeing things differently and to be open to possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people who are just, sometimes they are stuck in this is the way it is until they're kind of until I maybe, kind of invite them to dream and again use their imagination and what is it that they really want in their lives, and then to really tap into that. And then they have to, also then it's a willingness to have a belief that they can make that happen, and so those are the people, if they're not, there's no willingness to be to the opportunity to growth, to potentially having a different experience of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky.
Okay, I hear. Well, okay. So you just gave me three concepts to come back on you with. Thank you very much for your contribution. So one category is it's fun, and the other part of it is you have to do it. You have to be willing to do it. It can be tricky. I get the trickiness. You have to do it if you want to get better, and you have to be willing to have to do it. I get that, but I don't equate those terms with fun. So when does the fun start happening?
The fun is with being curious, the curiosity to do new and exciting things,
Mm-hmm.
to try new and exciting things,
Right.
and stretch yourself and engage in things that maybe are going to be taking us one step closer to reaching our full potential, which
Mm-hmm.
is what I believe we're all here to do. And so there's a playful attitude, I think, to the hallmarks of creativity. Really, it's like it's being lighthearted and excited, and which is also kind of paradoxically, you have to kind of be perseverant, you have to persevere and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the dance between those two,
Right.
I believe.
Well, you see, I have to admit, and I no, I don't have to admit it. I'm going to admit she is kind of converting me on this one because as I go this yin and yang to try to skip around her, she pursues relentlessly, and so okay, fine. I'm going to make an acknowledgement here as you're talking. The fun to me is not so much necessarily the processing of it because it to me is still hard work. The fun might be the discovery and growth that comes from it, and the fresh exposure as you're talking. I'm hearing the fresh opportunities, the fresh sense of success and growth. And I could see fun being an after achievement because I was equating it to it's fun while you're doing it. It's still exercising. I rephrase it. Let me say this differently. I decided years ago I was in front of a group talking, and I decided as part of my talking point, I made a choice. I want to be a hunk. Well, all the girls immediately laughed at me like, "No way, that's going to happen." And I hate exercising, and I tried to cheat on it. Honestly, I said I realized if I went in the bathroom on my third day of technique of exercising, what, 3 days? But I put a rheostat on the light, and I realized if I turned the light down to a certain degree of dimness and bent over and angled in a certain manner, I could begin to see definition that didn't exist. Because I'm going to rush this being a hunk syndrome. But I also understand if I want to be, no, now that I am a hunk, that I had to work
Yeah.
that I had to work very hard at it. And the fun was not the processing, the fun was the achievement and the outcome. So does that kind of fit into what you're talking about
I
here?
I think that yes, the fun is the imagining the outcome. It's like the daydream. I call it like purposeful daydreaming of like what you want to achieve. It's like that, and again, it's where that visualization where it's gonna help you to do that exercise every day because you're seeing yourself as hunky Joe, or I mean, I know what I did for a long time. I would put a number on the scale. I wrote it down and I just pasted it on and I put it on the scale. So when I got on it, it said that number. And I was like, yes.
Now that's creative. You must be a very intelligent woman because that's
And I did
extremely
that for
creative.
months. And I was, and I mean, and I was just, and it got me to really embracing like that is who I am. I am this weight. I am this perfect optimal weight for my body. And so I think it's about, again, imagining the possibilities, playing with it, keeping it, fun and light, and and you having that vision of you from the side angle.
Well, I was using a rheostat. I was cheating on that vision of myself, but I saw it clearly. I got to admit that. I guess what you're talking about is, as a general theme, is reaching outside yourself, beyond yourself. Rephrase that. Let me backtrack. I'm bored. I'm depressed. I'm upset. I'm stuck. I don't feel like there's a future for me. And I guess what you're saying, and correct me here, but you always do, that when you start using your imagination, you start reaching out for new possibilities, reaching out beyond your moment, beyond yourself. That in itself could be enlightening. I guess fun, maybe not the same thing. Is that kind of where you're going with that?
I mean, yes, but I also think in hearing what you were just saying that I would also say to you, take some action, do something. Just get out of your chair, get off the couch and go and do something. Take a walk, just do something, move your body, write in a journal, just take some action because, I think that's a lot of times will help people get out of that, just stuck place because that's not, you're not going to get there if you're just sitting on the couch, all day. Right.
I hear that. So, now I have a question for you. This is a technical question. See, this is more left brain stuff, so I relate to it better. Okay, so I'm stuck. And I'm stuck for 30,000 years of habits. I mean, I'm really especially good at being stuck. How does one take a first micro step? I mean, what's the catalyst? What's the little light switch that some people might want to learn to push to kind of self getting themselves going, besides coming to you at some point, I guess. But so do you have any little micro steps one can take?
I mean, and a few things, I of course I would say always just take a few deep breaths, really just consciously breathe, because when you take a couple deep breaths, it does activate, again, that relaxation response so that you could maybe get out of that, that kind of stuck in that mental chatter going around and around. That I would also say, again, I mentioned journaling, but something I do with clients is, is they write a dialogue to themselves. So it's like you would say, I'm stuck, and then you would respond, and then the stuck would respond, but I like being stuck. Well, and then you keep going and going, and it's like you get it out, and you end up, again, it leads to creative potential solutions.
Okay.
Drawing is another one I do with people. I say, draw yourself with your biggest problem, and they could, I mean, I've seen some unbelievably, intense drawings around people feeling stuck or almost caged in their life.
Okay.
And then working through that and then drawing a picture of you with your problem solved. And it's like, whoo, freedom.
All right.
So those are a couple of things techniques that I use. And creative visualization, just imagining yourself in your most ideal life in all the different areas, going through a process and trying to visualize that and then putting it on paper. Okay. Again, writing it down. And so those are a couple of things.
I hear that. Now, so then it comes to mind what you're describing. One doesn't have to be intelligent to be creative, if I'm hearing you correctly.
I think everyone is creative. I think every
Okay.
single one of us is creative. I think every single one of us is an artist. You know, I just think that we've been talked out of it because one day in school we were told that we saw someone else drawing a picture that looked better than ours, so we never drew anything again or never wrote again because so other people. So I believe every single one of us has creative potential. I think it's a lot of lies dormant in a lot of people,
Okay.
and it needs to be activated a lot of times
Yeah.
later in life because it's become so repressed.
Right. I say lies dormant, repressed. They're not quite the same because I remember times I've heard people be told, "You're so dumb, you'll never get better, you'll never do better, you'll never be creative, you'll never extend yourself," and so that person will dumb you down as a part to keeping you suppressed. So that people think, "Well, I'm just too dumb. I'm not intelligent enough to get better in my life." So you're implying that's not true. You can
That's
get
not true. And
all right.
there's so many, we know so many stories of people that, were told that and then went on to overcome that and become, amazing, all kinds of things, in every field. Right. But they may have for many years not shared those gifts because somebody said something and they took that on and as a belief.
Okay.
And that makes me sad always.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, again, my takeaways with finishing out already a Jiminy Cricket of 15 minutes is that the takeaway of all this talk I've gotten from Lizzy is if you want to feel good at any given moment, just tape your desired weight on your scale in the morning. So that's what I go home with. So Lizzy, what do you think we should go home
Or you
with?
could just put your head onto a really amazing body. I've seen that done too. So I would just say go for it, be creative, help the world, and have fun doing it.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. Please share your comments with us and with your friends, and your critique and your questions. See you
Please.
guys. Was it every Thursday we meet at 8:15 or 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Just want to
8
test you,
o'clock.
make sure. All right. See you later, folks.
Thank you.